So with me today, I've got a bunch of people that help me every single week.
Yeah, but he's got a lot of people.
Anyway,
we get distracted easily.
So with me today, we have a bunch of people that help me every single day with what I do, and I'm going to start introducing them. Directly to my right is Joel Linsk, voice actor. Nice to see you.
Say something.
Greetings, everyone.
There you go. There you go.
Next to him is AR. On the next to AR is Sound Speed.
Don't copy me.
Hi.
Darn.
Next is Aeon.
Hello, everybody.
Mytho.
Howdy.
And last but not least is BT.
Salutations.
That was the greatest intro ever.
Wasn't it?
So
Awesome.
high energy.
I know.
There's so much emotion in this panel.
Such height very well.
We're so professional.
So I'm gonna start just by telling everyone how Nimbus Productions started and how.
Well, let's explain first what Nimbus Productions is and what it does. That's a good
Well,
idea.
that's kind of goes with how it began, yeah.
Okay.
So I got into the fandom in 2012. It was like very beginning of the year, like January or whatever. I got into the fandom, and by February, I was like, okay, I need to do something because this fandom is awesome. I need to get back in some way, shape, or form. So the first thing I ever did was, before I even had this channel, I had another one that we started doing episode reviews and stuff like that. And what we did is would watch the episode and do commentary over it as kind of a review. That didn't work out very well with copyright, and so it got canceled by about May of that year. They had too many copyrights in the channel. It got terminated. Now, during that time, even though the reviews were like our main focus, I was also reading different fanfics that I enjoyed. And I was just reading them myself. I didn't have any other help with it, and it was, just it was pretty mediocre. And so when my channel got terminated, I figured, well, I can't do the reviews anymore because that was, that was where the copyright issues came into place, and it just wasn't going to work anymore. But I liked the fanfic reviews, and others seemed to like it as well. The problem that I ran into was like, well, I can't do these voices because I'm a guy, and that doesn't work very well when the main cast is all females. So
Doesn't really work.
yeah, it doesn't really work at all. So at that time, I was also in contact with Robot Butterfly, which is one of the voice actors for Midnight Magic Productions. And so she got me in contact with all the voice actors from Midnight Magic Productions, and also was involved with Philly Games and Welcome to Ponyville, where I met most of these guys.
I'm so sorry you've met us.
So I decided I wanted to do these fanfics, but I wanted to have voice actors do the different voices and dialogue for them. So the first one we ever did was Silent Ponyville, and I had mostly the actors from Midnight Magic Productions and some help from Philly Games, but it kind of evolved from there. And after doing Silent Ponyville and Too Shy for a Rainbow, we went on to On Across an Arrow. And On Across an Arrow had such a wide range of characters that I needed to actually open up general auditions and stuff like that. And if you're going to do a project with voice actors, general auditions are the best way to get any hype for the project. And EQD is a really great place to do that. So Nimbus Productions kind of spawned after I was done with On Across an Arrow, and I decided I wanted to do this more often and I wanted to do more stories. So I actually officially announced Nimbus Productions after On Across an Arrow was done. And since then we've done projects like yours truly, My Little Dashie, and then currently we're working on Past Sins, and
Fallout.
Fallout Crusher is our new one. And then we're also working on several one-shots. I'm doing a collab with Scribbler, which is Who We Are. That one's going to be coming out hopefully hopefully within the next month or so. And we got several planned for the future that I want to do, such as some in Ponyville 2. I wanted to get back into that series as well. So,
Sounds like fun.
yeah. So now the next thing is that each of us here have a different specialty. We have several voice actors here. Joel, AR, and Aeon are all voice actors. Joel does some professional work. AR does several voices for me and some artwork for the projects as well. And Aeon is my main narrator for all the projects as well. Soundspeed has his own channel where he does commentary for episodes.
Okay.
Yeah. Mytho is like my main artwork person. He does pretty much all the artwork for the channel, the banner and the vectors and stuff like that. And he also has done animations for me as well. We do have a radio play that we're working on currently, and he did the entire 3-minute animated trailer for that project.
Speaking of radio plays,
That trailer took a long time to make.
Yeah.
Longer than I'd like to say.
And next is BT, which is mainly a writer, but has done some voice acting for me as well. And he is actually going to be, he's the one that's writing the entire radio play that we're putting on as well.
yeah, talk about pain. Fun though.
So, and it takes all these aspects to make a project. And if you're going to be making your own project, you have to know what kind of hardships come with that. I would say 90% of projects fail because they run into these problems and didn't expect it, and then they just quit. You have to, if you're going to be creating your own project, you have to make sure that you are aware that there's going to be setbacks, there's going to be hardships, and you have to know how to deal with them. So each of us are going to go through what is kind of the hard part for their aspect, and what they did when they encountered these problems.
Do you really have Cookie Clicker open on this panel?
It's just running in the background.
This actually isn't a
need to
major
give the
project.
audience
This
lots
is
of-
an intervention for Fireball's Cookie Clicker. It's becoming a problem.
But anyway, that's
And
not.
it needs to
that's,
stop.
That's not.
We're
I
worried
do
about it.
apologize for that.
How many cookies per second are you getting?
Yeah, yeah.
Tap real quick, let's see.
Welcome to the panel about Cookie Clicker, ladies and
How many
gentlemen.
cookies you getting?
This is not what you want to do on.
Too many.
Okay, it looks like it's
Ladies and
around
gentlemen,
17
welcome to the
quadrillion
Professionals
cookies
Making
a
Productions
second.
panel.
And counting.
And moving on, moving on.
19 billion.
So anyway,
Or 14 quadrillion actually.
so first thing is first. When it comes to directing a project, when you have voice actors working for you, you have to make sure that you give them enough time for lines. When I write a script for this, which I literally just copy the story into like a Google Doc, and then I will format it into like script form, and then I send it out to these guys, and I give them, depending on the length of the script, anywhere between 2 and 3 weeks to do their lines, and that's usually enough time. Sometimes they'll have like real life issues that come into play, and then of course it's going to be a little bit longer for them to make those deadlines. But it's usually about 2 to 3 weeks to get lines. Now, what you really have to worry about with this is that people are going to. There's a chance that you're going to lose voice actors. So usually you have a backup. If someone happens to leave the project, then you're going to need to have someone there to replace them. I had that problem with Allegreza because we did Allegreza about 5 chapters into it. The voice actor that was playing Octavia literally like disappeared, and
Kind of like Smash Mouth.
yeah. And I still haven't even heard from her yet. So I had to get someone to replace her, but I didn't have anyone to do that. So that one that was actually put on hiatus for about 6 months before I actually found someone to replace Octavia, and that one's currently going on as well. So don't want to restart that. Okay, so that's kind of what you have to deal with when you're directing. You also have to know that you have to take your voice actors' opinions into your consideration as well. If there's something that they don't want to do, if there's something that that's in a story that they disagree with, I know that for Fallout Equestria, I had to tell them, okay, Fallout Equestria is going to be excessively violent, it's going to have strong language, it's going to have drug use in it. If you're not okay with that, then you tell me now, and I'll find someone else to play the roles. And there were several people that said that they didn't want to do that. So that's the other thing, is that when you're doing a certain project, make sure your voice actors are okay with the content that you're putting out. So I'll go ahead and pass it on to the others, and they'll go through the things that they do in their certain specific area.
Okay. Thank you. That was quite informative. You better check your cookies while we do this.
Hello, everyone. My name's Joel Linsk, and I am a professional voice actor.
Hello, Joel.
It's the accent.
And the guy next to me is AR, our insane voice actor.
Thank you.
Basically, as a voice actor, you have to do lots of networking, and I met Lightning here from doing a radio play that I did prior, and it's really hard being a voice actor when you first get into it. You don't know really how it's going to happen and who you're going to meet. You also have to be careful with what certain things you find, because I ran into a lot of projects that didn't get off the ground, and a lot of times you feel a little scared to have an opinion about the things you're voicing, and you really have to work with the director a lot of the times.
It tends to be the case in a lot of voice acting. You have to work directly with the director, because first off, they're the ones giving the voices that they want to hear for the characters, especially in something like in OC cases. Oftentimes they'll collaborate with the authors of the stories as well. That's something that they go do to, figure out a voice, or they can just use their head like, this voice sounds great. It'd be fantastic. Sometimes. Depends really. But as Joel said, a lot of it is a lot of contacts as well involved in voice acting itself. There's, just meeting people. That's really what it is. Just getting out there and knowing who's who and what they're doing with who. That's how I met half these guys, and actually I think I'm responsible for everyone really meeting each other. It's my fault. I'm responsible for this whole panel, so I am to blame. Thank you.
It's also nice to know what voices you do well and what voices you don't do well.
Yeah, it's getting comfortable with your own voice and understanding what your range is and your limitations as well. Sometimes, I can't go really high, considering I'm a guy. That is kind of a limitation, so I can't be thinking about it.
I can!
Yeah,
You're just
so
scary. You're just scary.
Be Navi.
Navi. Be Navi.
Navi, don't be Navi. Please don't.
Hey, listen! Hey, listen!
Oh my goodness. So it begins, everybody.
That's a trigger.
This is what happens when you give all the voice actors. See, the thing is, the voice actors are the weird ones of the group. We are. Really?
Mostly AR.
Yeah, we are. Mostly me.
Mostly they are.
Anyways, back to voice acting itself. Being a voice actor inside of a production team means that you have deadlines. That's a really fun thing, because you have to get your voices lines. I can't speak. You have to get your lines to them by this date. And sometimes you get lazy, or you break a leg, or you die. And that's like an extreme case scenario, but in case you do, you can't get your lines to them.
Or as a director, I found out that a lot of your voice actors will just not want to read.
There's that too. People don't like reading. I don't understand it. But yes.
I know that feeling.
I can read, I can't speak. There's a difference. So, I'm sure
voice
that.
actor?
Now you do narrations and things, and so do you. That relates to voice acting in some similar ways as well. What do you have to say about it?
Well, I mainly narrate for Nimbus Productions, but every day, whenever Fireball here asks me to actually narrate one of the stories, Allegrezza, Past Sins, some lines of Fallout Equestria, you have to really get the tone of the story. You can't just go in and just say the words like you normally would. You have to know what the story's about and get the tone right. Allegrezza, Allegrezza's a love story between Octavia and Vinyl Scratch.
What?
Spoiler!
No. Whoa.
Anyway, Past Sins is a story about a...
My favorite, your cookies!
No! Save them!
Save them.
Past Sins is a story about a little filly who's, spoilers, Nightmare Moon incarnate, who Twilight adopts, and then the story eventually goes places, and I have to know that.
Really?
Descriptive words, we know them.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you've learned from this panel.
Fallout
So it's
Equestria
like
is
there's
a
an
really,
introduction.
really dark story. It's actually one of my favorite stories, and I know all about it. In fact, when I was narrating the trailer, you had to get the tone right. You can't just go in there narrating the prologue to this dark story with Pinkie Pie's voice. Or Pinkie Pie's
Boy never changes.
In fact, I found myself, mainly copying the narrator from the Fallout series, since Fallout Equestria is based on Fallout. I figured I'd try getting the tone right. Eventually, I just down, and then you eventually you get the voice into the right place. But then you have to make sure you don't slur your words or accidentally slip an accent in there.
So we shouldn't drink beer while recording live?
Probably not.
Okay.
You hear that, Firebolt? You shouldn't drink beer when you're recording things.
Narration is the hardest.
Don't record anything, no.
Okay,
Like our
good
friend
point.
Narration is the hardest type of voice acting that most voice actors
It
get
takes
to do.
forever.
Unless you're Pinkie Pie, that's also hard.
Yeah. It's really hard to narrate something, because when you think about it, you have twice as many lines as probably the main character will ever have in the story, if the main character's not narrating the story themselves. So, I have more lines than most of the people, but I have to actually get the tone right. I'm narrating. I'm the person who has to tell the story. I'm not the character. I'm not the hero. I have to set the path for
He
the
has to set the tone and get the tone right.
Yeah.
He also has to be very interesting sounding, or else people just click off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't just be Mod Pie and just go, today, the hero went down this brick road. There was a rock on the right side. I can't do that. If I
Have
did
you
that,
seen my
no one
pet
would
rock?
listen.
I would.
That's odd. But yeah. Well, some people who have a harder time with, most of our stuff would be artists. Because
Nice segue.
Segue!
Soundsby doesn't even talk to it. He's lucky.
want to.
He doesn't want to talk. We're gonna make him.
Soundsby does cool things.
Make sure it's recording when he talks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead with the art.
Okay. Well,
ladies and gentlemen, Nico.
art has its challenges, like everything else does. It's mostly everything has the same challenges: the timeline, the amount of work you get to put into it, or have the ability to put into it in some cases, or need to put into it. Like animation, especially when you have to put up a rough draft and then. God, I've lost my train of thought. Something
How many
fierce.
animatics did we put out for that Destin trailer first?
Like 20.
Yeah.
It's just like step by step. I think there's probably 15 versions of that file on my computer because I was so afraid it was going to crash. It was big.
Yeah.
3 minutes of animation can take a big toll on a computer.
Buy a terabyte, you'll be thankful for it.
Yeah. Unless you're using After Effects, then that'll get used up in about a month.
You mean a day, right?
Okay, yeah, that too. Depends on how ambitious you are. I started animating because I just realized that I originally wanted to be a cartoonist, but later I just realized I watched all these cartoons and they had such an impact on my life, so I really wanted to do that, and I figured that I could start doing that. And so I got Flash, which is not how most people start out. They start out with something less expensive, but
The most expensive program on the market.
yeah.
You threw yourself into the deep end there.
Yeah, and just basically went through tutorial after tutorial trying to figure out how to work it. And after a couple of years, got the hang of it and started getting involved in more productions online. And through Philly Games, I found Firebolt found me. I didn't find anyone.
You found me.
Well, yeah, you found everyone.
I found everyone. They were lost,
You didn't find me. I was lost.
looking for the pet rocks.
But basically, the hardest part of making an animation for production is that word.
I love that.
Talking to the people who want you to make it and getting it right in their eyes and like merging two visions together. There's a word for it.
Communication.
Communication. That's great.
This is what Mytho is like.
That and persistence.
You need a lot of persistence
And patience. You need
for
a lot of
everything,
patience.
really. But communication is very important. You have to make sure you have your vision and their vision combined to make one singularity. And if there's music, that's a whole nother level. You just gotta keep going back over it until you get it right, and it all morphs together.
I remember when we were working on the Destin trailer, and I was the writer for it. I wrote it, and when he sent me, the first couple drafts, I realized, well, this is, I saw some things, and I go, well, this is good, but it could be better. And there's a moment when you don't want to step on somebody's creative dream. You don't want to go, okay, well, I like it, but I don't like it, because you feel like a bad person when you say, I want you to do this over again. And I'm pretty sure you probably ran into that with lines from time to time, Firebolt, where you didn't get the right read you wanted or the right inflection, and you're like, well, I need you to do this again, but it's hard to tell that to other creative people.
I know, every once in a while you get a line where when you're reading it, like when you're reading the story, a lot of times you'll visualize how it's supposed to sound, and some people are going to interpret it a different way. So especially emotion is really, really big, and when you get something like Past Sins, where at one point in time, Nyx is sent into the forest by Diamantera and Silver Spoon. Twilight needs to go and talk to Diamantera and Silver Spoon to figure out what happened. And she, in the story, she gets so mad, she actually does her rage shift, which is where her mane turns red and her coat becomes white.
Okay.
Kind of like she did with the Feeling Keen episode. And so you have to get that rage emotion in there, and I had to try to tell that to the voice actor before she did those lines.
That actually reminds me of something on the Destin trailer when I was a little scared too, but I had to ask you to see if you could get the voice actor to record a line differently, because we did all these readings beforehand, like readings of everything to make sure everyone knew what context their line was in. And we had some amazing voice actors, but one of the lines just came out super wonky in my opinion, and we got it back in and it worked a lot better. So that's another thing with communication. You gotta make sure that everything works together, especially if you're the one editing all together.
It's fun.
Yeah, when I was working on a project of mine as a director, we had to have the one female character do her lines at least 50 different takes, because she just didn't get the context, and we had to show her like the storyboards for the animation in order for her to get the emotions correctly and the way to pronounce certain words. And it just takes a lot of time, persistence to get
And music.
to get what you want out there, your vision.
needs to be good.
Everything needs to be like perfect. I mean, good's okay, but good's only good. And okay, we've been saying this a lot, but Destin, we haven't given any context. Destin is our next big project. We partnered with Alcorn Radio, and they said, hey, we want a radio play. Go make one. Firebolt contacted me because I write stuff. I'm a fan fiction writer, have been for about 5 years now. I started in the Kim Possible community, don't hate me. And I moved on to Ponies, and he came to me and said, okay, well, I want you to create a story. Do whatever you want, but make it Spitfire.
Well, at the time, I was on a podcast on AR's channel, which is nothing but production.
My channel is.
And anyway, there was a podcast that we did where I actually got in touch with Kelly Metzger, the voice actress for Spitfire, and we did an interview with her. One of the questions that we asked her were, if there was a Spitfire spin-off or a separate episode, what do you think it would be about? And she was joking around and improv and stuff like that, and she said, well, maybe Spitfire has a midlife crisis and realizes she doesn't want to be a Wonderbolt anymore, but she wants to be a doctor or something like that. And
to Spitfire.
But I kind of took that and talked to BT about what she said, and he's like, well, okay, the doctor thing is kind of out. But it would be really interesting for her to be in a Wonderbolt's show or something like that, and then realize that she she's not getting the same feeling that she got when she first joined and realized that.
Whenever you're creating a story, I don't know how many of you, we don't have a lot of people here, but show of hands, who's ever written or thought about writing a fanfic? Right.
The whole
Okay.
room.
Wow, I mean, hey,
That's 100% of the room.
that's awesome.
We know our demographic.
Anyways, if you know about creating stories, the first thing is you have to, what is the story about? And the first draft I wrote for Destin, the working title was The Misadventures of Spitfire. Yeah, I know.
That's beautiful.
Anyways, and it was about Spitfire just having midlife crisis and going out and trying to find herself, but along the way, Discord decided, well, this is boring, let's spice it up a little bit. And he kind of brought the Shadow Bolts back, and it was a big thing. They were the antagonists. It was kind of like a Team Rocket thing, Because that was the main thing. As far as when I was talking to him about the villains, he went, I like them to have kind of like the Pokemon feel, the whole story, have like a journey of friends and still be like family friendly.
Did they all stay the same age for 10 years?
Yes, actually. How do you know?
I'm brilliant.
Oh my god. Anyways, whenever I read through it again, I went, no, this doesn't work, and I had to completely rework it. And I looked through all my old stories, and I looked through all these things, and I realized what I'm good at writing. And that's another thing about writing. You have to know what you're good at. What is your genre? What are your set of skills? Are your set of skills like dialogue? Are they characters? Are they villains? Do you write romance well? Do you write drama? Do you, what aspects of a story? Are you really good at world building? Are you really good at mythology? It all depends on those things. And eventually I came up with the fact that a lot of my stories dealt with an old god being reawakened and somebody having to deal with it. And also, I also write shipping fics, don't hate me. Don't worry, this is completely out of Destin, but I just...
together in his stories.
Yeah, no romance. We ruled that out pretty quick, but I did a complete overhaul where I had to sit down just with myself and I go, okay, well, who's the villain? What's the story? And after I got done with the reworked idea, Firebolt actually came down to my house. He lived up in North Dakota at the time, and I lived in Missouri. He was flying down there to meet family, and he came to my house and we sat down and we hashed everything out. We figured out who's the villain, what's his name, who are the two main antagonists, who are the protagonists. And it's still Spitfire. She's joined by two friends, and then we have two opposing antagonists. And the big thing we had to do was we had to give the antagonists personalities that were intriguing and that people could relate to, and we had to make sure that the protagonist could also be just as likable, even more so. But there's a big balance issue when you're writing stories, is you have to make sure that you can balance both the antagonists and the protagonists, where people can root for both, because people like characters they can root for. That's a very hard thing to do. It's hard to make likable villains. It's okay you have to be able to make that big bad guy who is Epoch in our story. He's a big evil guy. And then we have the two main antagonists, which are different, but also they have their own goals and motivations that are just opposite the protagonists. I won't call them villains. And it's very hard to balance that kind of thing. And I realize I've been talking for a while now, so I should pass this on to somebody else. Hey, Soundspeed, you run a channel. What are you talking about?
This guy does narration and commentaries.
Yeah, speaking of, he is at least the most successful person here out of all of us.
A little bit.
And so,
Yesterday.
How should you? Let's talk about your channel a bit.
Okay. Well, I've been doing blind commentaries on Ponyville content since about 2011. I started in November. And what I normally do is I would do blind commentaries on the show episodes, and that got shut down pretty darn quick. One of the really big things that I think we kind of glossed over, but is really essential to know about doing projects pertaining to My Little Pony especially, is that copyright is a terrible thing to deal with. It exists, and it's not going to change no matter how many angry comments you leave directed at Hasbro, assuming you think they're going to read them, which they won't.
They might.
No.
They might.
No, they won't.
I'm still waiting for their reply.
Some guy's gonna just read them and just go.
Why won't Tara Strong respond to my emails? So,
This is why I don't sleep at night.
Snail mail.
copyright is a real pain, and I'd suggest actually getting well versed in it by yourself. Don't just watch a 10-minute video and be like, I am now the god of YouTube copyright. I totally understand everything there is to know about everything. Because that is not how the world works. It is very complicated. Copyright is a real big pain, and fair use especially gets thrown around and nobody really knows what it means. You do not know what it means. You might think you do. Any one of you random people in the audience, you might think you know what fair use means, but you do not.
I know.
You don't. You do. So you really gotta like look into it and read it. That's not just like a get out of jail free card. Aside from that, I've done Let's Plays of games, Pony-related games, and I've watched a lot of fan-made content. And I think one of the important things that a lot of people gloss over is that it's kind of like 50-50. It's half skill, but it's half practice. You really have to work at whatever you're doing. You have to have kind of like a resilience to want to do it. You have to really, really want what you're making and what you're working towards, because if you don't want it, you're gonna get lazy. You're just gonna give up. I have,
stubborn.
you know, I was actually involved with Nimbus Productions as a narrator for a brief time, and I just don't have the drive to do that kind of stuff. You know, I don't have the mindset or the determination to do that, and I fully acknowledge that I'm just not the right guy for the job. So I ended up dropping that.
Well, it's a good thing I'm here.
Yes, it's a good thing you showed up. 'Cause it's
Where
great.
would it be without you?
But I do have a passion for commentaries, and I have a passion for being involved with what I have a passion for, which is kind of this weird circular logic thing. And I love to read bad fan fiction. Who doesn't? So it's really big that when you start out doing whatever you want to do, if you're gonna write a fanfic, if you're gonna make an animation, if you're gonna work on art, no matter what you're doing, you're gonna start out, you're gonna be awful. Like, maybe 1 in 10 cases are not gonna suck, but you probably will. And that's not me being mean, I'm just trying to keep it real here. It's gonna be really hard to start off. I was awful for like the first 2 years of the content.
Which
It
is
is
still now.
awful, which I'm in the 3rd year now, so we're making slow progress.
He's finally started making progress.
Yeah, and it's really hard to kind of keep slogging through, like, because there's a lot of criticism. You're gonna get thrown a lot of criticism. Some of it valid, some of it not so much, but there's gonna be a lot of feedback, and you have to be able to take and apply feedback and criticism to what you're doing. You can't really, you have to have feelings, but you can't let your feelings get in the way of what you're working towards. So if somebody says, oh, that sucked, then, you know, maybe that's not the most helpful thing in the world to hear. But if they explain to you why it sucked, and, you know, they make decent points about why it wasn't very good, then you can improve yourself, and you can work from that, and then you'll have less people telling you suck the next time, and then even less, and eventually you'll get it fine-tuned to a point where, you know, it works. And
Sucking is the first step to kind
Your
of
experience may vary.
Yeah, and I was, if any of you guys went to Midwest Brony Fest, you saw Peter New and Kelly Metzger panel. One of the things Peter New said about anything is, you know, I have one piece of advice for you: quit. And if you're like, you know what? No, I'm not going to quit. And okay, keep going. But you go, okay, you know, maybe I should quit. And, you know, it's not for you. If you even think about quitting, you got to have that determination and persistence in order to do anything in this fandom. Because if you, yeah, anything in life, in fact, because if you do anything wrong, you will get thrown under the bus, and it's not pretty. Run over, probably, yeah.
As a voice actor, or as anything, I always kept saying to people who asked me for advice is, if you're doing it for fame, if you're doing it for money, you're in it for the wrong reason. Especially in this stuff, if you come across just wanting the fame and recognition, it's not going to go so well for you. If you're doing it for the love of what you're doing, if you love being characters for voice acting, if you love making music, if you love just drawing, it might take a while, but you will get there. But if you're just solely focused on making money at this or being famous, you might never get there. And you should go focus on something else then.
Money's a nice thing to have on top of something you love.
It's a great thing to have, but
That's not necessary.
Paid to do something you love, that's the dream right there.
that's the end game.
That's what everyone wants to do.
That's not an expectation. That's like
you lose
something
points.
you achieve, you're like, wow, that was not supposed to happen.
That's a bonus.
What?
Getting paid to do stuff.
Oh yeah.
That's just a bonus.
It's nice, but it's hard.
Okay.
Hang around and do that. It's
Yeah,
scary.
I mean everything we do on Nimbus Productions is unpaid, you know, and
Really?
yeah.
You're not paying me for this?
Whoa, what?
I'm gone.
We're done.
But no, I mean, and we all, you know, we all do this because, you know,
It's fun.
yeah, we love doing it. We love meeting each other, meeting other people, and we love doing
How
things
many
for the
cookies am I
fandom.
being paid to attend this? panel?
being on a production.
-7.
Being on
Can we
any
get
sort
an
of
update on
production.
Cookie Clicker? I'm kind of on it.
actually going to show a
The
trailer that we
cookies?
did. But one thing that we haven't mentioned yet, and unfortunately the person that does this for my channel is not here currently, but recently, like I'd say within the last year, we started adding some music in. Music.
Computers?
Music is really important, especially for a fanfic or whatever. If you're trying to convey an emotion, music can do it almost. Can do the job almost all by itself, you know. And so I know that I wanted to have music be a bigger part of the thing. You know, and so I got in contact with a musician called Quiet Water. That does mostly orchestral music. You know, I know a lot of the musicians in the fandom are mostly dubstep or electronic or something like that. But I got Quiet Water to do a lot of the music for any of my projects. And so I'm gonna go ahead and show you the trailer that we did for Destin.
Oh God.
I'm gonna hide under the desk.
This is the one that Nicola
Me
did.
too.
I'll just stay right here.
Okay, I'm back over.
Niphil, you want to give us a running commentary?
Are you trying to imply that they
No.
did?
What? Oh, actually, I didn't work on this, so I don't know.
I just want to say one of the
important
important things of looking back on things you're doing, like I wrote this trailer and I can firmly look back on it and just go, oh my God, why did I write that? You know? And it's important to be able to look at that and go, I've gotten better since then. That's the march of progress. That's something very important to know that you're doing better.
Well,
Can we watch Double Rainbow?
things can be good without.
Please.
As a producer, generally you'll always think your stuff is kind of bad, but that's just because you always want it to be better. It's the people who are watching it that really matter as to whether
Well, yeah,
Let's
I
not
don't know how long this is
Paul,
going to
the
be. So.
volume.
it's the viewers that decide if it's good or
Pump
not.
up the change.
Drop the bass.
Bass cannon. No, that's.
All right.
Yes.
Welcome to the references panel.
And play.
This is giraffe.
Flying.
Were those like no sound?
Cuckoo.
Okay.
I was making the
Is your
making the
laptop
sound
sound on?
effects.
Oh,
Huh?
Is your laptop sound on?
Yeah, it should be.
It should be. Well, that's.
Ladies and gentlemen,
That's
troubleshooting the panel.
So whenever you're doing a project, you're gonna have a hard time expecting things like this to happen.
Yeah,
You should,
I just want to
because
say
they
one
will
thing real quick, actually.
every time.
expect
That-
the unexpected. Sure.
Being-
Well, said by someone, I'm sure.
That was me. I said expected.
Being in a project is actually
Jenny,
a
what's the sound
really
system
good
on?
experience. You make a lot of friends, but being in a project is actually a really good experience for anyone that wants to start doing anything related to anything online, actually. Like just anything in the entertainment or I can't think of anything. Music, art, voice acting, anything like that.
We have like
You
a
get-
narrator and 2 voice actors.
AR.
Why don't we just
I
make
am
them
telling
talk?
you.
No, don't do it.
He's actually saying something.
Yeah.
world.
Okay. Anyway,
Get
let
back
me
to these
talk.
guys.
Sorry, I didn't know this was fun.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, being in a project is really helpful for any sort of anything you want to get better at because you meet a lot of people and you learn from each person you meet and you get better regardless. Any experience you get is good experience. If a project fails, which this panel is hopefully going to show you how to not fail a project, but there will always be failed projects and those are good experience as well because you know how not to do that next time.
What we're saying is friendship is rich. I mean,
Friendship is
Name
mutual.
drop.
No.
Never mind.
Tongue twister.
Get out!
Play.
Get out. Get out.
Play.
That's like
I don't think
the
we
worst
need
example of a
microphones.
failed project. It's still going.
Why is it not playing?
You try to be
It sounds playing on the live stream.
Well, too bad.
Smack it.
Have you tried checking the cookies?
I think it's fine.
I think you need to appeal.
Wait.
Just a piece.
It's playing out of here.
We need a sacrifice.
Yeah, it is.
Who wants to be our sacrifice?
This is my
This is
sacrifice.
not
Is that what you just said?
Yes,
Would
we need a sacrifice.
Audience,
Play it.
please volunteer as a blood sacrifice.
How about you way in the back?
Ah, yes.
Get up!
Come forth.
I just walked in.
Yeah, hi.
Yes. Welcome
We
to the
need your
panel.
help.
We need your help to make a production possible.
Okay, so what do you know about audio engineering?
Not much.
Well,
Sit
you're
back
gonna
down.
have to, you're gonna have to look out.
You can sit on the couch.
I'm a sound engineer, but I know nothing about this setup.
What's the issue up there?
That sounds like playing out of the projector.
Oh, I think we'd be able to help with that actually.
Oh, thank you. You are awesome.
Really good.
If not, we'll move on to the next thing.
What
I want to just make the sound effects
We
ourselves.
could do commentary on it,
Who
actually.
wants to hear that?
Yeah, you could do commentary.
We could just
So while we wait, who here wanted to be a voice actor?
wanted.
Wants,
Wants.
whatever.
Camera guy, I like your.
Sort of?
Yeah, kind of do. I don't know.
Have you done anything?
That's the best place to start.
Awesome.
That's the best place. That's the only place to start, really.
Just start networking with people. It happens really quick.
In fact, how I actually got involved with Nimbus Productions was on Equestria Daily. I saw an ad because Nimbus Productions was doing a full rating of Past Sins, and I thought, hey, that's the fanfic that got me into this fandom. I thought, you know what? I'll try it. I always thought voice acting seemed to be something. So I tried out for it, tried practically every line, voice, everything in the audition, and I ended up getting a background guard. Card number 1? I don't remember.
Sweetheart.
After that, though, eventually Firebolt wondered if I could try narrating. So I tried narrating. I forget what it was I first narrated. It was probably
Across an arrow?
Okay.
No. I you missed me. And then after that, I narrated the entire The Mansion Flash game. And then after that, Past Sins, Allegrezza, Fall Equestria, and I've just been narrating ever since.
I started out playing the psychopath in Silent Ponyville, and ever since then, all I play are the antagonists.
That's
Oh, and just to hear your groans of pain, I also voice Flash Sentry.
never no groans. That's good.
Woo!
But actually,
No
that brought
Sentry
up,
haters.
that brought up another really good point. Actually, if you're nervous about getting started in a project, just throw them anything you've done. Like, no matter how much you think it's gonna suck, you can actually get a part.
face and see if they like it.
If they like it, you don't have to worry about it. You just do that.
Hold on, wait. Lightning or Firebolt the volume a lot.
I think we might have.
Turn down the volume.
Did you fix it?
Turn down the volume. Did we fix it?
We're good.
Let's test it.
Okay, close your ears,
Gentlemen.
everybody.
Right, this is another
No,
part of
okay.
the project, is troubleshooting.
Nothing.
Hold on,
Wait.
hold on.
The sound doesn't kick in.
Nah, okay.
Point actually. Did we ever actually go to the part where there's sound?
Wait, no, oh yeah,
Uh,
we did.
The
We did.
sound doesn't kick in until about in a few seconds. You know.
No, that's me.
Ladies and gentlemen, we don't.
Professional.
Professional. Okay, anyways, I think we'll move on to the next part, right, Firebolt?
Just commentary it real quick. Commentate.
yeah, we can do.
Let's just show them the pretty pictures.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Love you.
I like you.
With sound, please just go to
So
YouTube
yes, I will
after
go ahead.
the-
I'll go ahead and just play without the sound. But while it's showing, we'll also do some Q&A as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask us.
We have writers, voice actors, commentators. We even have a few Let's Players up here.
I'm also a musician, so any music questions you have,
And
I'll
we're
answer.
artists.
We're done at 4:30.
You got 15 minutes.
Yeah, 15 minutes.
Yeah, 15 minutes.
A whole 15
If
minutes.
we have no
Next
questions,
this
then
time.
we can riff, I think. We're good at that.
Gentlemen, we're here to
We've got a question over there, I think.
What is this?
It's a quick question.
Great question.
That obviously,
That
This
is,
is our next project.
it kind of needs sound though.
It's like.
I just heard them say something.
Yeah, I think it's maybe on the projector though.
I don't think that's working
To
properly.
answer your question, this is the next project called Destined, which is a radio play, and the trailer's animated. The radio play's not.
Hey!
I think we got it.
All right. So let's.
Okay,
Oh, come on!
Fireball,
Really?
just go for it. Go for it.
We're done.
We're not done.
Any other questions?
Let's answer that. English first.
Oh, what was the question?
The question is, what is this?
What is this?
This is our next
This is the
project.
Nimbus Productions panel.
The-
We're currently showing the trailer for our big radio play on Alicorn Radio.
Why?
Radio play has a trailer. We don't know.
Do people hear that?
Yeah.
Ish.
Let's not even run the sound.
Just don't do that.
Yeah, just play without the sound, and we can do.
You can give up on certain things.
We don't
and
need
just kinda get
sound.
to work
Part
on
of
this.
being
All we
on
need
the
is
project
love.
Knowing when to quit.
All
Part
we
of
need
our
is love.
project is expected.
Just enjoy the pretty pictures, folks.
Yeah, it's an animation.
Brought to you by this guy.
Yeah, I made some of this.
Evil chippies.
At least not black and red out on the scene.
Oh, but the plot was just one
You see, things like that, I actually added that part in. That wasn't in the script. And so, as an animator, you can take certain, like, leaps with that kind of stuff, like visual stuff, and end up looking real cool. The one thing I regret about this
Is
is
it
that
me or
things don't
eyelashes
move
a
around
little
quite
high?
enough.
I think that's how it is.
Oh, door.
That's the biggest mouse hole I've ever seen.
Are we or are we not talking over this? Decide.
I think we are.
Fire move.
Good answer. I'm talking, I don't care.
Let's keep going.
Gotta wait for something to talk about.
No, Spitfire, I am your father.
Yeah, that was one of the antagonists. That one's called Celestia.
He's an antagonist.
She has hair that's hard to animate. I didn't do that. I used the Flash resource kit.
She hasn't blunked yet.
She's not evil yet, so let's go on.
This actually helped me a lot with lip syncing, because it took a long time. Griffin's very hard to animate.
Can we show the blooper for that scene?
Reading books.
No!
That's a good one.
Oh.
Aren't you enjoying this, folks?
No.
Gagged up.
Hey, it's me.
Polka dot clown.
Flying
Yar, har,
pirate
fiddle
ships.
Yarg.
Not how it gagged up works, genius.
Yeah, Vladimir Putin joining us from podcast.
In Soviet Equestria. Friendship, friends, you.
Good one.
Yeah.
There's the purple pony.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Oh, look, she blinked.
Oh, look, she blinked.
See,
Hey, look, she
Spitfire didn't
blinked
even know what went
again.
on.
She was good.
There's that thing.
Evil eyes.
Right.
Also, I made a mistake. There's no cue to back in that. I went up to that.
What was happening?
Yeah, well, that's actually a good question.
Let's answer that question.
Because for some reason the sound won't work and we didn't think about
Just
this.
tell them what that did.
Okay.
What that showed about the story.
Basically, that was a basic outline of what set up the story. What happened is, a long time ago, Celestia and Luna locked up this guy named Epoch, who kind of controlled time and space. And they... And in order to make sure that he can never be released again, they locked all knowledge of him away, and they kind of imparted it onto these stone tablets in case they ever kind of needed it again. They even took away their own knowledge of how to defeat him and put him in these keys. And so now Spitfire has to go around the world finding these keys. And you saw the zebra and the griffin, that's Gaz and Zola. I'll let you play the alliteration game and find out who's who. And then the two antagonists, the one standing over Spitfire was Starshine, played by the probably unequivocal Cobra Bomb, and he is amazing. You should go look him up. He has a channel.
Sultry voice.
He does. And then the guy with the stupid hair was Spectrum.
Which one?
Stupid hair.
The purple one was.
Did you watch the trailer?
Thanks, Soundspeed. Anyways, that was Spectrum Strider. He's Irish, and we got I can't remember. Blaze. We got Blaze.
Stay away from me, Lucky Charms.
Yeah, the guy's name is Blaze, and that's one of the things I wanted to talk about for voice acting was he came to me whenever he wanted to do an audition, and he said, okay, well, what kind of voice do you want for this? I read the thing, but I had these other ideas for it. You know, you said you wanted a Cockney accent, but here I brought the Cockney, the Scottish, and the Irish. And as soon as he hit the Irish, I'm like, well, I mean, you win. That's pretty much it. I gave it to him, and I went, Irish, it has to be it. And another important thing I think we have to go over about voice acting is you need to have chemistry with the other people you're working with. There needs to be
Science.
a very good back. There needs to be a very good back and forth between like two characters who are very close to each other, or are friends, or work together. Because Lord knows Starshine and Spectrum aren't friends.
You can't hate your peers, and if you do, just pretend.
That's what acting's about.
Yeah, nothing
that's
nice
why
to
we're
say.
acting!
Grin and bear it.
We gotta pretend we like each other up here in front of you guys.
We're going to pretend we're enjoying this. See all smiles.
Wow, what a great side.
Right.
Awkward silence.
Microphone.
Where's
my microphone?
Right here.
Is there any questions?
Do you really need a microphone?
I need
Give
a
him the
microphone.
microphone.
Not for less than this. Probably not. I wanna get to know.
Alright, we'll say something.
All right.
Yes, please.
If there's no questions, then I guess that's all for us. Thank you for.
Did you ask if there were more questions?
Did you even ask if there were questions?
Are there any questions in the audience?
Do you really want to know who we are? Because I don't think we explained that well enough.
We did several times explaining who we are.
In the first 20 minutes, we explained
Our
that.
production name is right there if you can't figure out who we are.
That doesn't help.
It's right there.
You can go check it out for yourself and see if we're actually.
No.
You can look for Nimbus Production, you can look for Indubitably Bonafide, that's the name of the channel.
Yeah. See how many people can spell indubitably on their first try. That's a challenge in and of
It's
itself.
right there. It's right there.
It's right there.
I guess I do both.
It's actually really easy to spell if you think about
I
it.
guess indubitably.
So, does anyone on the panel have questions for the audience?
Anyone on
Does anybody here actually, have any of you guys worked on your own projects?
Anything? Voice actors?
Purple ears, what have you worked on?
Any projects?
I like your ears.
Everything, really.
Yeah?
Anything specific that we know of?
Probably nothing that you would know of. I haven't really published any of it. I'm kind of just still in the creative stages.
I see.
That's a good place to be.
I
What kind of
wish
stuff
you
have you been working on, like animation, fanfic writing?
Music, animation, fanfics, artwork. Like I said, bit
A
of
regular black man over here.
What kind of music?
Why are we all up here? You can just be up
You
here
could
just
take
doing this
panel
yourself.
and do a better job than we
We're
did.
all of us in one. We've got cool ears.
Probably got twice the charisma too, so I mean, hey,
Yeah, we've kind of been like.
we rolled snake eyes for our charisma.
We came to your
Now, I want to know, how did you last through an hour of this?
how did I?
They're contractual.
I in particular left for an hour of this? Or
Well,
you
just
want?
everyone in general.
Why do you have the microphone in your pocket?
It's convenient.
Laziness.
Believe it or not, we all get along quite well.
I'm guessing like
We do.
halfway through our thing, the only reason anyone lasted an hour is because half the audience just went to a comatose state.
They wanted to get good seats for the next panel.
I think everyone's more concerned about the cookies and wants to know what happened with them.
I think that's the ultimate challenge.
That is why everyone's still here. What's going on with Cookie
The
Clicker?
public
Show
wants
us.
to know, Fireball.
Show us the cookies.
Yes, show
See?
See, they want
Give
Give the people what they want.
Fireball!
Declare cookies.
How many cookies are you
Give
making?
my people.
I personally don't know what these people have been on.
Oh my god!
This has turned into a panel about Cookie Clicker now.
I don't even know what this is. What
You
is
click
this?
cookies to get more cookies. It's pretty simple.
Do I get a cookie?
No.
Buy it.
No.
My grandma.
So I want a cookie.
No.
The very deceptive game.
Get
The only
another
winning
Elder
move
Pledge.
is not to play.
Here's another elder pledge.
Like Flappy Bird.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, can we like live play with Flappy Bird real quick before we leave?
Yes.
Oh, God, no, we wasted enough time.
Alright, so,
Sorry, we're
that
not wasting
is
time hopefully.
that is the panel.
I hope you
That is
learned
done
at
now.
least one